Travis Kelce never liked grand birthday parties. He'd spent enough of his life in the spotlight, the cameras, the noise, the endless stream of people who knew Travis Kelce the celebrity, but not Travis the man. So, when his 36th birthday arrived, he wanted none of that. No red carpets, no sponsors, no guest lists filled with famous names. Just home. Just family. His Kansas City house glowed with the kind of warmth that only comes from love and laughter. String lights wound around the wooden beams, flickering softly against the gentle hum of music from the speaker. The air carried the scent of Donna Kelce's famous lasagna. Rich, comforting, and layered with the same love she'd poured into her boys since they were kids. Taylor Swift was there. Of course, moving effortlessly between the kitchen and the living room, laughing with Donna as if she'd always belonged there. The comfort between them wasn't forced. It was real, the kind that grows from countless little moments. Shared dinners, Sunday games, quiet talks after long flights. Jason and Kylie came early, bringing their daughters, including 6-year-old Wyatt, the family's bold little spark of energy who never knew the meaning of quiet. Patrick and Brittany Mahomes followed soon after, their kids chasing each other through the hallways as the grown-ups talked, ate, and teased one another. When Travis finally stepped back to take it all in, he felt something he couldn't quite name. Maybe it was gratitude. Maybe it was peace. Or maybe it was the quiet realization that this simple night was better than any spotlight could ever offer. And somewhere across the room, Taylor caught his eye. She smiled that soft, knowing smile, the one that said she understood him completely. Travis mouthed a silent thank you, and she gave a tiny nod in return. He didn't know it yet, but before the night ended, a single question from a 6-year-old would turn this cozy family gathering into a moment that would change his life forever. Dinner was everything Travis hoped it would be. Loud, messy, filled with laughter and the clinking of glasses. Donna fussed over everyone. Jason told stories that made the room roar, and Taylor kept sneaking glances at Travis every time he laughed. He looked lighter tonight, freer, as if the world outside didn't exist. After dessert, a warm apple pie that smelled like childhood, everyone began to settle into the living room. The lights dimmed, the kids curled up with blankets, and for a brief, perfect moment, all was still. That's when Taylor stood. Her hands trembled as she reached for her guitar. She had performed in front of millions, but this felt different. Singing for stadiums was easy. Singing for the man she loved, surrounded by the people who made him who he was. That was terrifying. Travis looked up, surprised. "Hey," he said softly, "you didn't have to do anything. Having you here's enough." Taylor smiled nervously. "Too bad," she said, her voice warm and teasing. "I wrote you something, and I'm making everyone listen." The room fell silent. Travis's heart started pounding as she sat down on the stool, fingers brushing the strings. Then came the first notes. Gentle, intimate, familiar. The song was called 87 Reasons. From the opening line, everyone knew this wasn't just another love song. Every lyric was personal, about how Travis called his mom every day, how he teared up during sad movies but tried to hide it, how he remembered the names of every staff member at the stadium. She sang about how he made up silly voices for her cats, and how he taught her that love didn't have to be complicated, that sometimes it could be soft, safe, and beautifully ordinary. Donna was the first to cry. Jason wrapped his arm around Kylie. Even Patrick looked misty-eyed. But Travis sat frozen, eyes locked on Taylor as if afraid to blink and miss a single word. When she reached the bridge, her voice shook. But she didn't stop. She sang about finding home in a person, not a place. About how Travis had shown her that love isn't just a moment. It's a choice you make every day. When the last chord faded, the silence was heavy and sacred. Then applause. Real, tearful applause that filled the room like sunlight. Travis crossed the room in 3 quick steps and pulled Taylor into his arms. His voice broke when he whispered, "That was beautiful. I can't believe you wrote that about me." "You make it easy," she whispered back. "You're the easiest person I've ever loved." No one said a word. until a small voice pierced the quiet, bright, innocent, and utterly fearless. "Uncle Travis," Wyatt said from Jason's lap, "are you going to marry Taylor?" The room froze, and in that instant, everything changed. The words hung in the air like a spark in silence. For a moment, nobody moved. Jason's jaw dropped. Kylie's face turned bright red as she buried it in her hands. Donna froze mid-tissue, eyes wide with shock. Across the couch, Patrick and Brittany tried, and failed, to stifle their laughter. But in the middle of it all stood Travis and Taylor, still wrapped in each other's arms, caught between laughter and disbelief. Wyatt looked around, confused by everyone's reaction. "What?" she asked innocently. "It's a good question." It was. The kind of question that sliced straight through the polite small talk of adults, past all the unspoken feelings and fears, and landed right on the truth. Travis felt his heartbeat slow, the world around him blur into the background. He glanced down at Taylor, who was staring back up at him, her blue eyes wide, startled, but shimmering with something that looked a lot like love. Kylie started to speak, voice full of panic. "Wyatt, honey, that's not really—" "It's okay," Taylor interrupted gently, though her pulse was pounding. She looked back at Travis, saw the mixture of panic and tenderness in his expression, and in that instant she made a silent choice, to stop hiding behind jokes and waiting for perfect moments. Travis knelt down to Wyatt's level, still holding Taylor's hand. "That's a really important question, Princess," he said softly. "I know," Wyatt replied matter-of-factly. "Mommy says I ask too many questions, but Daddy says questions are good." Jason groaned. "I did say that," he admitted, earning a ripple of laughter through the tension. Travis smiled. "Well, he's right. Questions are good, and you deserve an honest answer." He paused, then said, "Someday, when she's ready, when we're both ready. Marriage is a really big decision." Wyatt frowned thoughtfully. "But you love her, right? Like, the forever kind?" Travis looked at Taylor again, his throat tightening. Her eyes glistened. "Yeah," he said quietly. "The forever kind." Wyatt turned toward Taylor. "And do you love him the forever kind too?" Everyone held their breath. Taylor knelt down beside Travis so she could look Wyatt in the eye. Her voice was barely a whisper, but it carried through the entire room. "I think I'm starting to be ready," she said. "I didn't know I was, not really, until your question. But when your Uncle Travis said, 'someday,' it suddenly didn't feel far away anymore." Travis's breath caught. His grip on her hand tightened. "So yes," Taylor continued, voice trembling but sure. "I love him. The forever kind." Wyatt's face lit up. "Then you should get married." "That's what Mommy and Daddy did when they loved each other forever." The whole room broke. Laughter, tears, hugs, and joy spilling all at once. Jason was crying openly now. Donna had stopped pretending not to sob, and even Patrick wiped his eyes, shaking his head in disbelief. And in the middle of it all, one small child sat on her uncle's lap, proud and radiant, completely unaware that she had just changed two people's lives with one simple question. The laughter began to fade, but the warmth lingered, that kind of golden, glowing warmth that fills a room after something real has been said. Everyone was still smiling, still wiping away tears, when Wyatt looked up again with those big, curious eyes. She tugged gently on Travis's sleeve. "Uncle Travis?" she said, her voice smaller this time, softer. He smiled down at her. "Yeah, Princess? When you marry Aunt Taylor—" She hesitated, her little brow furrowed in thought. "Will I be her real niece? Like, for real, real? Because right now I'm just Uncle Travis's niece, but I want to be Aunt Taylor's niece too. Is that how it works?" The question landed like a soft bomb. Not loud, not shocking, just powerful. The kind of truth only a child could ask with such innocence. Taylor felt her heart twist. All the adults went quiet again, watching her, waiting. But she didn't need to think. She knew exactly what to say. She crouched down until she was eye level with Wyatt and cupped the little girl's cheeks in her hands. "Wyatt Elizabeth Kelce," she said gently, her voice trembling. "You're already my real niece. Right now, today. You don't have to wait for any marriage or any paper or any ceremony." Wyatt blinked in surprise. "Really? Like really truly?" "Really truly," Taylor whispered with a tearful smile. "Love makes families, not paperwork. You became my niece the first time you asked me if I really loved your Uncle Travis. Remember that dinner?" Wyatt's eyes widened as the memory sparked. "When I told you you had to be nice to him because he gets grumpy when he's hungry?" "That's the one," Taylor said, laughing through her tears. "You cared about him so much that you wanted to make sure I was good enough for him. That's what family does. They protect each other. So, from that moment, you were mine." Wyatt tilted her head, thinking hard. "But if you get married," she said carefully, "then everyone will know I'm your niece. Right now, only we know." He smiled, that quiet, knowing smile that reached his eyes, then pulled Taylor and Wyatt close. One arm around the woman he loved, the other around the niece who somehow always knew exactly what their hearts needed. "When did you make this, sweetheart?" Taylor asked, her voice trembling. "Last week," Wyatt said proudly. "After you taught me how to braid hair, I knew then you were gonna be my real aunt forever. Mommy said I was being presumptuous. Daddy said I was being hopeful." Travis chuckled, his voice rough with emotion. "You were being perfect, kiddo." He kissed the top of her head, whispering something she'd never forget. "You're the best thing that ever happened to us, Wyatt." And as Taylor leaned into him, her tears falling onto the crayon-streaked paper, she realized that this, not fame, not the world, was what forever really looked like. By the time the house grew quiet, the night had deepened into that soft kind of stillness that only follows laughter and love. Empty plates littered the table. Ribbons and wrapping paper were scattered across the floor, and on the coffee table, lying beneath the warm glow of a single lamp, was Wyatt's drawing. Travis picked it up carefully as if it were something sacred. He studied every crayon mark, every shaky line that told the story of their little family. "She even drew your cats," he murmured, smiling faintly. "And look, she gave me my lucky number." Taylor came up beside him, resting her chin on his shoulder. "She sees everything," she whispered. "Details, emotions, even things we try to hide." He nodded slowly, eyes still on the paper. "Yeah, she does. Kinda scary how wise she is for 6. Taylor laughed softly and took his hand. Together they sank onto the couch, the warm lamplight wrapping around them like a blanket. For the first time all night, there were no eyes on them. No phones, no noise. Just two people sitting in the aftermath of something life-changing. "That happened," Travis said at last, almost in disbelief. "That happened," Taylor echoed with a small, tired smile. For a while, neither spoke. The air between them felt alive, not with uncertainty but with understanding, the kind of silence that speaks louder than words. Finally, Travis turned to her. "Are you freaking out?" "A little," she admitted. "You?" He chuckled under his breath. "Yeah, but not in a bad way. I'm scared of marriage as a concept, but I'm not scared of marrying you. Does that make sense?" Taylor lifted her head, her eyes shining in the dim light. "Perfect sense. Because I feel the same way." She took a long breath. "When I said I was starting to be ready earlier, I meant it. I didn't plan to say it in front of everyone, but Wyatt's question just pulled it out of me, and I realized something." Travis's voice softened. "What?" "I've been waiting for this to stop feeling scary," she said. "But maybe it's not supposed to. Maybe the right person isn't the one who makes you not afraid. They're the one who makes being afraid worth it." Travis reached out and cupped her face, his thumb tracing away a tear. "You're worth being scared for, Tay, every part of you. You're worth everything," her voice cracked. "So are you." They stayed that way for a while, quiet, close, the sound of the house settling around them like a sigh. Then, with a small smile, she asked, "So, what do we do now?" Travis leaned back, his arm draped around her shoulders. "We start figuring out what our forever looks like. Just us. No pressure, no headlines, no rush." "I like that," she said softly. "Although after tonight I think everyone already assumes we're engaged." He laughed quietly. "Maybe we are, in spirit." He paused, his tone turning more serious. "Although, funny thing, I did have this whole elaborate proposal planned. Taylor tilted her head. You did? Yeah, he said, smiling sheepishly. But now I'm not sure if I even need to do it. I think Wyatt accidentally proposed for me. Taylor grinned through her tears. Oh, you're still doing the proposal, she said, poking his chest lightly. Wyatt asked the question, but you're asking the question. When you're ready, Travis's eyes softened. What if I'm ready now? Taylor froze, her breath catching. Are you? He nodded slowly. I've been ready. I've had the ring for 2 months, but watching you tonight, with my family, with Wyatt, singing that song, it hit me that perfect moments don't exist. There are just real ones, and tonight was real. Her tears fell again, silently this time. I love you so much. I love you too, he whispered. And when I do ask, whenever that is, we're making Wyatt the flower girl. That's non-negotiable. Taylor laughed softly against his shoulder. Deal. 3 months passed, but that night at the Kelce home lingered like a melody they couldn't stop humming. Life went on. Games, travel, recording sessions. But something between them had shifted. It wasn't about if anymore. It was simply when. It happened quietly one evening. No cameras, no candles, no orchestra. Just the smell of pasta on the stove and the soft crackle of the kitchen radio. Taylor stood barefoot, stirring sauce, humming a tune from her next album. Travis was behind her, pretending to chop vegetables but mostly watching her in the glow of the warm light. When she turned around, he wasn't at the counter anymore. He was on one knee, holding out a small box, the kind that stops time. Taylor froze, wooden spoon still in her hand. Travis, she whispered. He smiled, his voice steady but full of emotion. You once said the person you marry should be someone worth being scared for. I'm scared right now, Tay. But only because I love you that much. I've been ready for a while, and I don't want to wait anymore. Her tears fell before she could even speak. You're doing this in the kitchen? She managed, laughing through her sobs. He grinned. Yeah, feels like us. Messy. Real. Home. She dropped the spoon, covered her mouth, and nodded through her tears. Then yes, she whispered. 1,000 times yes. They didn't call a publicist. They didn't post anything online. The first person they called was Wyatt. When she answered, her squeal nearly broke the speaker. I knew it. Mommy! Daddy! Uncle Travis asked Aunt Taylor to marry him. She turned back to the phone. Can I tell my class? Can I tell everyone? Taylor laughed through tears. You can tell the whole world, sweetheart. You helped make this happen. I know, Wyatt said proudly. I'm really good at love questions. Jason's voice could be heard in the background, chuckling. You might have missed your calling, kiddo, Wyatt replied with 6-year-old confidence. Nope, I think I'll just be a flower girl instead. That seems easier. 8 months later, under a sky laced with fairy lights and soft music, Wyatt made her grand entrance, carrying a basket of petals with perfect posture and a grin that could light the world. When she reached the altar, she leaned toward the microphone meant for the officiant and announced proudly to the 200 guests, I just want everyone to know, I'm the reason Uncle Travis and Aunt Taylor are married. I asked the important questions. You're welcome. The crowd erupted in laughter and tears. Jason buried his face in his hands. Kylie laughed until she cried, and Taylor and Travis, standing at the altar, fingers intertwined, turned toward the little girl who had unknowingly rewritten their love story. Because she wasn't wrong. Sometimes, it only takes one honest question from a child to remind the grown-ups what love is really about. Truth, courage, and forever. And as they said, I do, Wyatt twirled in a swirl of flower petals, whispering to herself with a proud smile, See, I told them.